Welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and thank you for joining us this evening. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, wherever you're taking in your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for being part of the show. A quick word from IXL. They are our longtime sponsor. If you're an educator, if you're an education leader, you know about IXL, the power of IXL, and certainly being able to assess your kids. Here is a word from IXL. I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part? Everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast. All right. Thank you for that. And again, welcome to our live viewing audience. We are going to meet Principal Jared Stevenson shortly. Jared is the principal at Wieland Elementary in Pflugerville. I've been working on my pronunciation. Principal Stevenson, Pflugerville, Texas, a community not far from Round Rock there outside Austin. And very cool. Jared and I met last year at TEPSA. Shout out to their team there as well. And Jared just stood out in our session. He participated, he engaged, he provided excellent strategy. So it was great to connect with him. So we'll meet him in just a moment. The opening concept here tonight, I shared with Jared. Sadly, I lost my mom last month. She passed away on Friday, January 23rd. And I'd like to acknowledge my family, my siblings, my aunt, uncle, my cousins, my wife, my own children, but all my nieces and nephews, the grandkids. Were just wonderful to be there with my mom. And it was a rough few days. My mom was in ICU and a lot of doctors, a lot of personnel in and out of there. And we didn't know them. And there were some that came in and just dealt with my mom, right? Here's the medical condition. Here's the situation. Just very direct. And there were others that displayed incredible empathy, care. They read the room, right? We had a lot of upset people in there. A lot of people didn't know what was going on. And people came in and they showed compassion. They showed understanding, a gentle touch of the hand, a nod, a smile, and a look of understanding, right? There was an instant trust there from my siblings and I when we met with some of the doctors and some of the medical staff when they displayed those characteristics. Right, where others came in with a clipboard and just kind of spitting out information. There was zero kind of connection with us, right? The family that was pretty stressed and upset by the whole thing. So I learned a lot over those few days, right? It reminded me the importance of our relationships, connecting with people, right? Understanding them, right? Seek to understand before being understood, right? Understanding what the temperature in the room was, and again, showing that empathy, showing that compassion towards an upset family. It was tremendous. And my hat goes off to many of those medical personnel. And for those that maybe aren't doing those things, I'm here to remind you, it's very, very important. So we as school leaders, right, sometimes we're dealing with upset parents, upset teachers, or upset situations. And we got to be mindful and be compassionate during those times there. So again, a shout out to those people there. But let's get started with the podcast. Thank you for listening here. And again, If you are watching live, jump in the show, and we are going to welcome in Principal Stevenson from Round Rock, Texas. Welcome, Jared, to the podcast.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm happy to be here with you tonight.
That's great. I think on behalf of all of your listeners, I share condolences for sharing the story about your mom. That's got to be a tough thing, just very recent. So, very sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, thank you, Jared. I could tell by your leadership and compassion that you can understand that. But let's start there, Jared. Number one, thank you for saying that. But number two, hopefully you're not dealing with death, right? But you're dealing with parents that might be upset about a discipline situation, or maybe their child might have a learning disability, or maybe that teacher didn't get that position they thought, and you're dealing with some upset people. How do you approach those and prepare yourself with body language and those type things? How do you go into those situations?
There's a number of pieces to it. One, I think as a campus principal, I have a huge advantage over the medical personnel you were dealing with, because most of the time I do know the people I'm having a conversation with first, right? And so that does make such a difference. And so having that personal interactions, and it really speaks to what I think is important at schools is getting to know your community. And so the more you know people before you have a problem, before there's an issue to deal with, if you have a parent who already has a connection to you and already knows who you are and trusts you, and they're upset about something, they approach it a little differently, right? So those parents that are new, that don't understand what's going on, don't understand the community, the campus, that it is harder. So preparing, for me, I think it's one thing. It's funny, I'm here dressed in my nice outfit I wore at school today, but I think presenting myself is important. Wearing a tie shows that I'm here professionally. I'm ready to work. I'm doing the thing. Nothing worse than having like pajama day at school for rewards with the students, and then having a difficult, challenging conversation, because it's just, we're not prepared in the same way. So I think just looking like you are there to take things seriously is important. And then, if it is someone that you don't know, making that contact. You shared, medical personnel coming in, shaking hands, or touching base with family members and everybody, and explaining to them. And so if someone comes in, taking the time to sit down, listen to them, understand what they need and where they're coming from, is really important. Obviously, if I know what's happening, you said, how do I prepare? If I know what they're coming in for, then obviously having information helps. And so preparing with that information. Every situation is different, though. So you gave out the three different ones. And I think, you kind of think through the situation, you think through the scenario and plan out what may help in this situation, right? Like your approach with a disciplinary moment where someone's upset because of something that someone else did, or the consequences that are happening, or there, is different than a conversation about, we're going to look at doing an assessment to look into special education and more supports for your student.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great answer there, Jared. And that's why he's the leader here in Wieland Elementary, Pflugerville, Texas. And again, you shared knowing your community. Interesting that it's a German background in that community where Wieland gets his name, right?
When it was initially settled, it was a farming community a long time ago. So it's no longer the same community from its original founding. It's grown tremendously. There's still some farms in the area, but they're pretty sparse and mostly getting paved over for new shopping centers.
Yeah, busy place for sure. Down when we were there, Jared, 8 years there. Now we're here in 2026. Talk to me about kind of resetting in 2026. What are some things that you are preparing for professionally, or maybe some goals that you have set for this year?
Yeah, as 8 years as a principal, I was actually the assistant principal for 4 years. So I've been there for a solid dozen years. And that's something to think about. 8 years on one campus. And I've had those conversations, right? What is next? And I don't have an answer for that. I'm not really looking to move up or anything. I've really been professionally enjoying some of the work. I've been able to mentor and support new principals coming in. We met last year at the TEPSA Conference, and that's our Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. Is a great, probably the premier elementary principals organization, obviously in Texas, but it stands up in other states. And so being involved there and seeing how I can support principals and put myself out there to possibly present. I submit a proposal to present there. So kind of trying to stretch myself and grow professionally in those areas while still trying to, master. We're never, I don't, we're constantly growing and learning. And so we adjust and shift with the times and learn new things and kind of want to get better. So,
Yeah. How do you learn, Jared? Do you have a book? You writing stuff down? You putting it in a Google Doc? What's your strategy when you are stretching yourself to learn, like you said? How do you retain the information? How do you kind of organize yourself for those things you're looking to do?
uh, Not well. Organized is organized chaos a good term? It depends on what it is, right? So if it's a school learn versus a professional learn, and where I'm putting things, I do take notes sometimes, and I have a school notebook that I'll keep notes in, and then I keep things in Google Docs for myself, and then kind of back and forth. Uh, you say, where are we learning? So if it's for me personally versus me as a professional campus leader and what I'm doing there, so instructional practices, I think a lot of my learning gets cemented through conversations. I want to brainstorm what's working, what's not working with the teachers. If I hear about a new instructional thing, something we should be working on with the students, I need to get feedback from the people that are actually doing that work, because I'm not in the classrooms, presenting and working, on a daily basis like the teachers are. And so I don't feel like it's my place to bring a new thing and just say, this is what we're doing. I want to do a lot of feedback first and
Mm.
break break it down with different people. I have a fantastic instructional coach on my campus, which is a great blessing. And so she's a great partner for those talks. I have a strong instructional assistant principal, and so she's a great partner. And then some fantastic teachers on my campus. So, I think that learning piece for school is definitely a team approach, and my learning really does come from action and conversations with people in that area.
Yeah. Great answer there. I'm going to take a wild guess. Is this your assistant principal here?
That is Carrie Gabbert. She is from Brooklyn, New York originally. So
Oh,
New
really?
York shout out. Yep.
You got Philadelphia and Brooklyn running that school there. Jared's originally from the Philly area, and you're who is that? The Wildcats. What's your
We are
mascot?
the Wieland Wildcats. That's our
Yeah,
Wally the Wildcat out there.
awesome. And there you are again, looking the part with the shirt and tie. I like it. Um, Jared, you mentioned classrooms a couple times and your teachers. When you walk into a classroom, what are some important things that you think should be going on, or things that you want to see as the academic leader at Wieland Elementary?
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about a lot is the old versus the new, and we don't want to see traditional old classrooms where the teacher's doing all the talking and the kids are quiet and getting work done. So I love seeing actively engaged kids and having that buzz of energy in a classroom, engaged with academics, of course, not buzzing around about Pokemon, but what are they doing? I was in a second grade classroom today, and they were doing 3D shapes. So every student had a set of shapes, and they were working on identifying how many edges and faces and vertices were on the shapes, and they were
Mhm.
working with partners, and so they were able to talk about them and point them out and those types of things. And to me, that really spoke well of kids working and learning. The teacher was guiding the conversation. She was asking some probing questions. She was doing some big stuff with them, but letting the kids talk and figure those things out, exploring and learning. I think those are great things. Um, I love good, really good questions when you're in the classroom and you see some of that productive struggle. We talk about that. We want kids to be thinking. Kids shouldn't be able to be asked only write their answers, right? They shouldn't just be spitting facts back at the teacher. They should have some of that processing and, why is this going to happen? Not just what is happening.
Yeah. Jared, we talked about organization. Is it on your calendar to go into the classrooms? Do you pick certain classrooms you're going to go in, or is it more of a wandering around? I'm going to walk around and fall into this classroom, go into here. How do you manage your visibility and get to these different spaces?
Yeah, again, a little bit of both. I do kind of counter out my day. I do negative countering, I think. I put specific tasks on, and then I have open areas. And so those are those times when, I get up and move and be out in the building, for sure. I do schedule specific, obviously, evaluative walk observations, but then also our walkthroughs. I like to visit classrooms though, and not be, constantly through the lens of evaluation, and really be paying attention to what the students are really digging into, and be able to sit and talk with students. What they're doing is a different lens than when I'm really in working off of our rubric for teacher evaluations and things like that. So the difference is there is also kind of that uh, there's a little hippie feeling about it when you're around, and you kind of have that feeling in a school. And so being on campus, being in the classrooms, being with the kids, you can kind of have those feelings and see what's going well and what's not. And those are good areas to go back and have conversations, and check in with people and see what's going on. You can see if someone's having an off day, whether it's a student or a staff member, and be able to follow up with them. Those are really important, right? If students are struggling, then we got to figure out why and what's going on. And if staff's struggling, we got to do the same thing, figure out what's going on and how we can help them or get them moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Great answer, Jared. What would year 8 Jared Stevenson tell year 1 Jared Stevenson? You've been doing this a while. So what are some things you would look back and maybe tell that rookie?
Yeah, I was fortunate to start pre-COVID, and I think in the professional administrative world across the world, probably pre and post COVID is a different experience. Um, I think I did the same mistakes that a lot of people do coming in. Is I have these ideas and I'm ready, and I was, but I had to learn a lot. And I think now I have a very growth mindset attitude about I don't know everything, and I have a great team. Um, and I can learn together with everyone. We can practice together, and we can figure things out. I do a lot of the what is it, acronyms. We get fails, our first attempt in learning, right? So if we're not doing new things and messing up every once in a while, we're not doing the right things. If everything's always running smoothly and perfectly, we're not stretching ourselves and trying new things, and that's a problem. So year one, you don't know everything, and when you have problems, you're going to need to ask people, reach out. You got to connect. Being a campus principal is a lonely spot sometimes. And again, I have a great team, but sometimes there's principal stuff, and you got to reach out to another principal, and that means calling someone up on the phone and connecting because they're not next door. That was a it was a one of my biggest curves was it was the first time working and not having a supervisor on a daily basis. Um, as an assistant principal or as a teacher, there was always a campus principal who was there, and no matter who it was, you figured out how to work together, and you made things happen, and had that work because you connected with them. And so working as a campus principal, having a supervisor is kind of a very different role because they check in with you, they're available if you need them, they stop by every once in a while, but you're doing all the stuff and you don't have someone else that's there every day.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. You're the guy. You're the one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Different paradigm shift there. Jared, you got teenagers in your house. Here is your beautiful family here. Shout out to the Stevenson family. Good luck to your son making his college decision soon. You're around little kids all day. What does your mornings look like? Do you have some time before yourself? Are you a morning person? And what does that routine look like? Maybe when the teenagers are getting ready for school and you're not in school yet, you got that little window of time. What's happening in Jared Stevenson's morning?
So you've got your northern perspective there, and that's the perspective I've moved south with. When I first moved down here, I was floored with the fact that elementary schools are expected to be in early. So
Oh, you're first.
yeah, and so when I first moved down, I was expecting that nice roll in 9 o'clock start time, and that's not the case. I'm usually on campus around 6:30, 6:40. We open our doors at 7:05, and students are on campus. I This year, my wife is also an educator. She came back onto an elementary schedule. She's done a bunch of different things in education. She's spent the last few years at a high school, and so she was on a high school schedule as well. And so I used to have mornings completely alone. Um, and I'm kind of in that routine. This year, my wife and I've kind of navigated the mornings and balancing the bathroom and the schedule and everything. And so I get up and do breakfast first. And that's my routine, is to get up. It is not my ideal. I don't like to eat as soon as I get up, but I got to get a good start to the day. And I don't have time once I'm at school usually. So I make sure I have a solid start and have breakfast. I'm one of those people. And so I sit and take my time and have breakfast, and I read. And in the olden days, I probably would have gotten a a hard copy newspaper, but now I'm trying to find news online. Um, I think it's important. We haven't talked about this. The world's the world, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's not all good. And it's tough. There's some tough things going on, and I was hiding from a lot of that and avoiding it. And I was challenged by a colleague who said, it's a privilege to avoid the news and ignore some of the stuff that's going on. And that really spoke to me, because it is very much a privilege. We are here this evening together as two white men, right? And uh, we don't have the same experiences as everyone else. And so I try to, skim through some of the headlines, stay on top. Not always political, obviously, anything that's out there that I can find, but try to do a little bit of that, world reading with my breakfast and get rolling with the day. Get dressed and go to school and do all the things. So it's a tough transition. I've been doing this now for 23 years in Texas, and so it is what my life is. But that first 23 years ago, young Jared moved down to Texas and was like, "Oh man, that's an early start."
But they got it right. I do think those elementary kids there, and kudos for you for facing the challenges that are out there, right? And absorbing that in the morning. So you're literally sitting down at the table and eating a meal before coming to work. Wow.
I would say, as much of a meal as it is, I do a solid protein oatmeal with a nice cup of coffee and a couple glasses of water every morning.
Yeah.
So,
we spoke off air a little bit about the water. I'm a seltzer guy. Here's my soda stream. I'm a big fan, and I know you like seltzer
cheers.
too. Cheers to that. Is that water intentional? Are you then kind of measuring during the day? Are you drinking something like this during the day? How are you hydrating and making sure that's part of your diet as well?
Yeah, I started that routine a couple of years ago. I do 2 16-ounce glasses of water in the morning. I don't really do it as a measurement, but I have, that's just the glass I have. I do one first.
Are you chugging it? Are you drinking it?
I usually drink it while I'm mixing everything and getting all the food together, and then I eat and drink the coffee, and then I finish it with the second glass of water, and that starts my day. It's a little rough because it's a lot of liquid to put in your body before you spend time with kids.
You're running to the bathroom once you get to school.
Yes, sir. I actually joked with one of our staff members. We does the doors with us in the morning, and we were both trying to go to the same restroom at the same time. And I said, every day, right at 7:02 or so, right before we open that door. That's my goal. But yeah, I have my school water bottle. I try to get through that at school and fill it up before I come home, and then I usually drink it on the way home. And that's one of those extra large ones, and then taking more water. So after all that water, it's nice to have the seltzer at home. It's still water, but it's a little flavor, a little pop. So I enjoy that.
That's awesome. And Jared, you like to cook though. You're a real foodie as well. Tell me about your passion for cooking, and you're doing that on the weekends. I know you had to make some soup for school tomorrow, but tell me about this passion.
Yeah, no, it's just I enjoy cooking. I grew up in a family that cooked, and like the water, I think what we put in our bodies is important. So trying to get good food in for my family is important, and I enjoy it. It's probably part of my mental health management of having tasks that I can complete and feel successful with. I think that's important, and I do enjoy food, and so being able to cook good foods is fun. But then a lot of times the weekends are more about fun food and cooking new recipes. The weeks are about getting good nutritional food put together so everyone can eat it. I have passed the baton. We work with the kids. I have my teenagers. We've worked with them. They will cook. They do a very good job with it. I think my son does it compliantly. My daughter might enjoy it a little bit more, but they're teenagers. But you mentioned his college decision. We're sending him off to college. I think those are life skills that are important. He's got several recipes he does pretty well without following the recipe specifically now, and so he's going to be okay on his own. That's the goal.
What's a dad favorite? Like when Dad Jared is cooking, the kid, oh yeah, Dad, you made that. What's the favorite of the household?
It's different for everyone because everyone's very unique about what they like. My daughter has some very particular things. She loves I listened recently to the guy that had a similar name to you. He's talking about brain fog.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, sorry, you got
Manzi?
We'll
Yes.
we'll call him
Salvatore?
out in a minute. Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
good name.
Yeah.
Caprese. She likes a good caprese. Like we do a skillet caprese with the basil
Ooh,
and the mozzarella, the chicken in there. So that's really good. You can put
nice.
that over some fresh pasta. And she really likes. I'll do a homemade butternut squash soup. I made one of those when we had the ice days a couple weeks ago down here in Texas. We don't know what to do with ice, so we all stay home. And I was able to make a soup. But yeah, she really loves the butternut squash. My son's a burger connoisseur, and so we've worked on different types of burgers that he can make, and doing like a kind of a smash burger versus making like a meatloaf type patty burger and filling that. So
Yeah.
doing those.
And are you making something and putting it in a Tupperware, taking it to school? Are you a Tupperware guy as well?
Yes, indeed. Generally, like I said, my wife's an educator too. We try to do like a little salad with dinner, and then we'll put up our little side containers and make salad for the next day at the same time. So put out 4 bowls and 2 containers and make 6 salads for at dinner time, and then we just whatever protein we have on top and toss it together. It's a quick and easy.
I like it, Jared. I like your focus on your wellness. I like your focus on making sure you look the part as well. I think that's really important. And I like that you quoted, the Magic Acronyms book. So that's my next question there. All leaders are readers. What are you currently reading?
Um, a bunch. I love to read, and my wife was a librarian. She moved into a different position, so we're a book heavy family. As I stand here
I
in front
see
of one
your
of our
book.
own
Yeah, I see
bookshelves,
that. Yeah.
in the extra room, right? So that's the extra books that aren't out everywhere else. I mix up a lot about what I'm reading, and I try to read adult and children books. I like to read not fiction books for school, so I know what new books are coming out. Sometimes I dip into some of the older high school aged books and then adult fiction as well. So I was reading a series recently. I'd be pressed on finding the author. The first book was called Shatter Me, and it's a series called the Shatter Me series. So that's a young adult fiction book, kind of a pseudo dystopian future with new political regime. So it's an interesting
Mm.
book. But I also like to mix up adult nonfiction. I love reading about history. My wife got me oh, no idea a book about the Constitution that came out recently, and I started reading
Mm.
that a little bit over the break, but I needed good chunks of time to read that, so that's harder.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
then, so I balance different books. I've also been reading bits and pieces of a book by a UT professor, 10 to 25 Motivating Young People, by Professor Dr. David Yeager. And
Mm.
I actually was able to get a couple of my teachers into a program that they're doing at UT called the Fuse program. And they're doing research. They were really focused on middle school, and I was able to get some of my 5th grade teachers in there. But they're how to motivate students, how we engage our students, and some of the brain science behind what we're doing. Dr. Yeager works
Mm.
with Carol Dweck, so the growth mindset and some of those things, I think. Or no, sorry, Dr. Duckworth, Angela Duckworth.
Mhm.
So that whole field of brain research and engagement with kids and what we're doing. And I've had really good conversations with my teachers who are going through the program and kind of setting the stage. And some stuff is just pretty simple. One of the great things that they talk about is setting the stage with students. When you talk about grades, we talk about work, we talk about tests, and defining as the leader. So if you're the classroom leader or principal for a campus, what it means when you get a grade or you make a mistake. Like I view, missed answers as learning opportunities, and it's okay. You haven't figured that out yet. So I'm going to help you. We have a plan to make this better, as opposed to, hey, you got a 70 on this, maybe you do better. And so that how that's fronted for the students, right? I'm sure Dr. Yeager would explain it much more eloquently and scientifically, but the way we say things to people really matter, and helping our kids engage in school and wanting to be engaged. I think that's one of our struggles we're seeing across the country, with kids in general, and with
Mhm.
society in general. And so what are we doing to help them and making sure that they are coming in and doing the work, right? You know,
And the
it's a tough.
engagement's important. Yeah, and I love it. It comes out. It's not what you say; it's how you say it, right? And that could go. That was similar to what I was saying in the opening segment. these people were both delivering messages about my mom's medical status, but some of them engaged us, some of them brought us in, and others pushed us further away. And I think it's very similar to what you were just saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, cool. Jared, I admire your leadership. Again, I mentioned you stood out in our time together at TEPSA. You yourself were engaging. I know it was a while ago, but did you put anything into practice that we did? Did anything resonate for you during our time together? What was something that you said, "Oh man, and that you took and ran with"?
Absolutely. And I don't have notes in front of me, so I'm going to do this off the top of my head. I'm not going to remember both of them, but I took two specific little stories that you used and used them in my beginning of the year PD.
Yes.
One with new teachers. When I bring new teachers on campus, new teachers get either if they're a brand new teacher, they get a mentor. If they're a new to campus teacher, I give them a campus contact mentor person. So it's not the same mentoring new teacher relationship, but it's someone to connect with and a go-to, because coming to switching campuses in district or out of district is hard. So that group of people all got a bamboo stick, because then we talked about the traits of a bamboo stick, right? Because we want to be flexible, and that we're nourishing. We got to nourish ourselves and nourish our minds and nourish our kids' minds. And let's see,
grow
we
fast,
want to grow fast.
Yeah.
So that stole appropriately took that from you. And then I also found small little like stress ball apples and used the apple story that you gave for all staff. So that was our kickoff. It was the last time I saw them before we had kids on campus. We had our closing before kids went at our campus and our district and most of Texas. We do several days of work days and PD before kids come in. So we get about 7 days. And one day might be district PD where people are all over the place, and we have 2 days at our campus PD, and then they have work days where they're setting up their rooms and organizing and working with their teams and planning and everything. So I used the apple for the last kind of closing ceremonies before it was okay, go do the good work. And
nice.
So it's a nice thing, because as I walk around, I'm in rooms and things, I see their little apples sitting on a windowsill or on a desk or something like that. There you go. That one sits on my cabinet.
That's right. Oh, did you win the apple at the thing?
I won the apple.
That's because you engaged. Absolutely. Wow. Friends, this is Jared Stevenson, Wieland Elementary in Pflugerville, Texas. Jump in the chat, say hello, and let us know where you're watching from. Jared, what is something you wanted to share that I didn't ask you about?
Something I wanted to share that you didn't ask about. I don't know if I have anything real specific. I know this was a new experience for me, and I appreciate your pushing and encouragement to do it. I know one of the ways we connected after TEPSA was you shared your online video for your tips for putting a book together, writing a book. That is a goal and a dream of mine, and I was looking up. I don't know if you're going to get there. You asked about a quote ahead of time, and so that's my thing. I think the mantra of we're not always ready for everything, but we want to approach things and do it scared. I've heard the term "do it scared" a bunch, and so I Googled it to see where it comes from, and I was actually impressed. It's from a book I read. Abby Wambach. No, sorry, not Abby Wambach. Abby Wambach's wife, Glennon Doyle, wrote the Wolfpack book. Glennon Doyle. I think I'm getting the right ones. Anyway, and talk about doing it scared. And so that comes from in there, and working together with people and do things you're not ready for. So I appreciate you putting me out there before I'm ready.
Yeah, well, but you stayed with me, right? We stayed in touch. We shared some resources, and here you are. But it also goes back to your engagement, your participation. There were some people that were just sitting in the room, despite me trying to get them involved. But you were up, you were leading, and certainly representing your family and your school district. So it goes back to you there, Jared. And if you didn't see it, in January, we did do another Write My Book seminar. And that's on my website, Jared. I'll be happy to send it to you. But I would encourage you to write that book, and I would encourage you to start taking notes, even though you might not know what you're doing, but just start writing those things down. I think it's important. And even if you go back and watch your show today, there was a lot of things that you said, and there's a lot of things that you're doing that can help other people. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If our friends at TEPSA are watching, I hope you take his presentation. And again, he's on the podcast here, but putting yourself out there to go present at a conference too, that's a big step forward. And I admire that you're going down that road.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I know you have a busy night, and I know you got some more cooking to do. So let's get a rapid fire, okay? These are rapid fire questions, quick answers. Are you ready?
Sure.
Here we go. Last movie you saw?
Watched Empire Records.
Give it a thumbs up.
Gotta teach the kids the classics.
Last concert you went to? Oh yeah.
My wife and I saw the Lumineers.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Locally?
This time, yes. We've seen them several times. We've seen them in Austin a couple times. We went to Denver and saw them there a couple of years ago, but they were in Austin this past fall.
Does the football stadium host concerts there too? Is that a big venue to go or no?
I don't know if they've ever done a concert there. I can't say yes or no for sure. Then there's a new basketball arena, the Moody Center, where they're doing the bigger shows, an indoor arena. And then there's several smaller, depending on who's coming in and what size. And there is an outdoor venue down south where they do the Circuit of Americas, the racetracks down there. They do a big amphitheater. And
okay. All right. Last song you sang out loud in the car?
I do a lot of podcasts in the car, so I don't sing a ton. So I'm going to say it probably was something from my daughter's Broadway playlist, and we were just kind of singing along. So
I know you mentioned your daughter earlier. She's got a call back, so good luck to her there. We love Broadway. We love the arts, and good luck to both of your kids there. There's your wife and beautiful family there, Jared. You mentioned the cooking. You mentioned what your kids like, but what is your favorite dish to make?
Oh, my favorite dish to make. I was gonna say you had asked.
Well, we can go to eat if you like.
I was gonna say something new. I like to try new things, and I like to find things that are nutritionally sound and healthy, so not crazy, butter or anything, but finding something that's going to taste really good when it's healthy still. And so I do like cooking new things. It just takes time to do that. So that's the weekend activities. Can't go wrong with pizza. We do some homemade pizza every once in a while. I enjoy making pizzas, but cutting pizza out, that's if you're going to eat something, way to go.
The guy mentions pizza to the Italian from New York.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Philly's right there, man. I mean, they got incredible pizza, so I'm sure you grew up with that there. For sure.
Good pizza up there. You're going to talk about cheesesteaks now.
We talked a lot about wellness, nutrition. What's a go-to stress reliever for you?
Either indoor on the treadmill or outside on the pavement, but I'll get a good run in. That's usually my go-to. Almost done more for stress than for the fitness side of it.
Yeah. And how do you deal with the heat? Are you doing that early in the morning, like in the summer?
That's what the treadmill's for.
Yeah. So you got the fan above you there. Round Rock, Texas is fill in the blank.
Current home in the suburb of Austin.
Yeah, but that's where the conference is, man. It was a great spot for the conference. This is a serious question, Jared. I don't want to get you in trouble, Eagles or Cowboys?
My honest answer I usually give people is that I'm mostly sports agnostic.
Okay.
if I'm gonna cheer, I'm gonna support my dad and my brother who are gonna be Eagles fans. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's illegal to not root for the Eagles if you're from Philly.
Well, yeah, I visited my uncle one time and he almost didn't let me in because I had a Texas driver's license. He was worried about the Dallas road. I said no, I'm not gonna cheer.
That's serious business. Well, how about is it growing up for you? And again, if you're not a sports guy, that's okay. But was it Phillies or was it Eagles? Which one in your home?
I did have a passion for the Phillies at one point. I have a very strong memory of sitting alone in our family room watching the Mike Schmidt retirement.
Yeah.
That was pretty moving for me at that time. I was I don't know, probably under 10, but
Yeah.
I was late for dinner and my dad came to check on me and was kind of sat down and let me watch and stayed with me. So that was one of
I
those things.
like that. I like that. You shared some of your passions. What's a pet peeve of yours?
Words. I get on people about this a lot. It's supposed to be rapid answer. People talk about like the kid threw a chair, and you kind of get details, and you find out they like pushed a chair over. And so what we need to use our words properly and accurately describe things. That's always something people give me a hard time for.
And is that the kids are doing that or the adults or both?
Probably both. Yeah. You
Yeah.
hear a lot from, if you have a challenging moment with a kid, it's easy for an adult to be frustrated. I totally understand that. But, I've had a chair thrown and I've seen a chair thrown. And a lot of us in education have, that's a different experience than when a kid is upset and knocks their chair into their desk.
Yeah. Not nudges it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one thing you are curious about?
I think really the Dr. Yeager book has really piqued some curiosity in like how are we working with people and how do we engage people and how do we connect our kids with understanding the value of them putting effort into life, right? Like how
Mm.
why is fourth grade math important to them? Why is sitting and applying themselves to their reading important to them? They want to sit and they want to play video games, and so really connecting with the kids and talking to them and I'm curious about, how do we figure those things out? How do we work with them and help them get better, and grow? We want them to have successful futures. And so working through where we are now and not just getting them to do work for compliant reasons. We have some great kids at our campus and they work hard, but I think that compliant engagement versus, real authentic engagement is a interesting place to be figuring things out.
Well said there, Principal Stevenson. Friends, this is Jared Stevenson, Wieland Elementary, Wieland.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I
Nice.
almost spelled it wrong multiple times. Jared, this was fun. Something about Jared Stevenson that people don't not know about.
When I was a teenager, I was super interested in learning to surf, and I had a surfboard in Pennsylvania that I would drive down to the Jersey coast. I got up a couple times, but never super successfully. But that was there.
Yeah. Do you still mess with it now when you go and
We don't get to the beach that often.
no.
Texas beach is a little different. I think it's a family goal to get out to Hawaii. My wife kicked around, maybe a trip to South America, maybe Costa Rica or something. So we'll we'll figure it out someday in the future. It's going to be a thing.
If you want to learn to surf, I know people think Hawaii. We went to Costa Rica last year. I mean, it was those waves just kept coming, man. So that's
Yeah.
your spot. Yeah, yeah,
All right.
cool, man. How about a quote? We mentioned about a quote. How about a quote to end the show?
I already gave out my good quote. Do it scared. I'll stick with one. You asked about curiosity. My dad said this a lot. My dad's an educator as well. Proud line of educators in my family, and he used to do workshops that I would help him with, or be the ball boy at, or whatever, as a kid.
Mm.
But I heard him say over and over and over again, and I have it on my wall, and I use it with my staff. If we always do what we always did, we'll always get what we always got. So we got to be thinking and learning and doing new things so we can grow and improve.
Jared Stevenson, friends, great quote from your dad. I love what you had wrote about your dad and your grandfather. All teachers there, family of educators. So awesome, Jared. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Great time.
Yeah, I wish you and the team the best at Wieland, and thanks for your leadership, Jared. Thanks for being on the front lines of leadership with our most precious learners, our youngest kids, creating that curiosity. So thanks for the work you're doing. And again, TEPSA, if you're looking for a good presenter, here he is. He did great today. Jared Stevenson, everyone. Jared, if I can help you in any way, don't hesitate. And again, thanks for your work. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, exciting again. Your son, good luck with the decision. And I know those are exciting times. My daughter, I got a picture here somewhere. She's in Wilmington, North Carolina.
That's right.
Here's her when she announced when she was going. We still got it here. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We're going to sign off on the podcast, friends. Again, if I can help you in any way, I know districts are starting to plan their school openings for next year. So I am booking events and just signed on to go to Illinois today for an event. So I'd love to connect about that. Yeah, we're going to sign off. All right, Jared. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you.
Keep surviving and thriving. Thanks, Jared. Bye-bye, friends.